continues on Tea or Coffee this morning with Lagos Food Bank Initiative. But we're discussing SDG goal number 2, which is about tackling zero hunger, achieving zero hunger in Nigeria. I am joined by a very special person in the studio today, Michael Sunbola, the president and founder of Lagos Food Bank Initiative. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
It's very lovely to have you in the studio this morning.
Excited as well.
Yeah, as Kemi established before the break, we were at the walkathon last week, last year, last year rather.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. How did that go for you as well?
Yeah, it's one of those programs we usually have annually.
Right.
To either create awareness about what we do and how we try to bridge the hunger gap and bring people on board.
Right.
But that of last year was kind of unique because we had just launched a project, a school feeding project.
Right.
Yeah, for kids in public primary schools and secondary schools and low-cost private schools, and so we've decided to now tie that to as a fundraising program.
Right.
Yeah, and create awareness about the project. And in fact, I must commend Kemi, right?
Yes.
In fact, she has fantastic memory. She always checking out the numbers and all of that. And even the team, Feed the Future.
Yeah.
So, it was directed at that program.
Okay.
And although the program is a bit this thing now because of the whole school shutdown because of the COVID-19, but the idea was just to reach out to those kids. Because quite a number of them, go to school on empty stomach and they are unable to concentrate in class. And I can relate as well. So it was an experience I went through as a child as well, going to school on empty stomach, on some occasions like that. And it's not a good experience.
Yeah.
So the program was launched for that purpose.
Okay.
And to reach out to kids. So the work was directed at that, and we're able to raise funds as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reality of hunger in the state of our nation today is something that is maybe usually overlooked, right? And maybe that is why some organizations or some persons feel like hunger is not a legitimate reason for the effect that it's having on the citizens today. So what I'm asking essentially, what is the reality of hunger as it affects children in our society today?
Well, it's a deep one. The impact of hunger cannot be underestimated. But because you have narrowed it down to children, first we try as much as possible. Let me even give you a bit of statistics in terms of malnutrition. Over 2 million of our children are and nourished, malnourished nationally, and not many people. In fact, you have a population, about 60% of our population live on less than $2 per day, and food is not even cheap in Nigeria. So the point is that the reality is that there is high level of food insecurity. Even we've seen, these instances where I wouldn't want to mention names now, but come on here to say that Nigerians are not hungry. Yeah, to an extent, but until you find yourself in that situation, until you find yourself in that, sometimes, I always say this, that when you've left a particular situation in life, you believe that everybody has left with you, and you've left you and your bubble thinking that everybody is fine. But if you go out of your way to then see that people are actually being food insecure, like people don't have access to food, so the reality is still there. And COVID-19 has brought that to the front burner as well. So for kids, if you don't have enough nutrition, within your first 1,000 days, it affects your brain development, it affects everything. And when you grow up, you might not even, we have some level of contribution to the society, because when the brain was supposed to develop, no good nutrition
so it
was
affects efficiency, it affects productivity, it affects development.
Even it affects the economy. It affects the economy as a whole, because good nutrition matters. Kids who have good brain development at that tender age grow up to be productive, and they have to the economy.
Yeah.
So
All right. So in my research on Lagos Food Bank Initiative, right, what something that caught my eye was your nutrition lessons or classes or nutrition awareness. Let me put it that way, right? So we are. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? But we are in a country where, maybe like nutrition plans is not like we're not really big, or majority of the population of Nigeria is not really big on nutrition planning or dietary plans. We just eat, and enjoy our meals. How are you able to? How is that going for you? How is the nutrition awareness? Dealing with the culture of this country. How are you finding that?
yes, so it's one of those major objectives of Lagos Food Bank, like you rightly said.
Okay.
Which is about that enlightenment, and bringing it to people in informal settlement, the slums, and all of that. And I also agree with you to the extent that, to the fact that the culture or the awareness is not so much, and the reason is this: where this hierarchy, Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of need and all of that. And, when we have quite a number of people still living for survival, trying to balance all these things, diet, this is what you take, that's how you take it, and all of that, it's secondary. The most important thing first is, do I have rice to eat this morning? Okay, what am I eating again? Bread in the afternoon. Just find something
Hand
to
to
eat.
mouth, essentially, right? Yeah.
And nutrition is really not, and but the thing is, in as much as people might not really have that's so much resources to get this because even good nutrition sometimes can be expensive too.
Exactly.
But at the same time can be less expensive as well. So it depends on how one is able to combine this thing. And what we do is, we tell especially people who are underprivileged how they can use their 100 naira to still get food that is affordable and high in nutrients and that can help them. So we try as much as possible to take this to slums, to bring, and we work with nutritionists who are volunteers, dietitians and all of that who help us with this campaign.
Right.
And that has really gone a long way. And we do a whole lot on social media as well.
Okay.
Bringing this to the fore as to how good nutrition helps, how we can combine our foods and all of that. But essentially, we take this to the grassroots, the slums, and
because they need this awareness,
underserved communities, because they need that real much.
All right. So talking about your work in these communities, right? The lockdown this year. Let's talk about that. COVID-19.
Yeah.
A lot of people had to stay at home, meaning that a lot of people who, as we've said, live from hand to mouth, could not do those jobs that put food on their table, essentially, right? So I'm aware of your work during that period with considering the amount of households you were able to reach. How was that for you? How was that?
Okay, so in fact, COVID-19 was or is not many people even globally prepared for it.
Yes.
And it caught a lot of people unawares and all of that. But as far as we are concerned as an organization, and we've been following the trend of what is happening globally, watching CNN and seeing how this is already impacting the world, we started making plans. And one of the early plans we made was to quickly launch a new program that addresses that emergency or urgent need of people, and we anticipated a lockdown.
Yeah.
So we anticipated that, and we started putting those plans in place. And I must confess, those plans really assisted us in launching and reaching as many households as possible.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it wasn't challenging, but it was kind of seamless as well, because we had volunteers to work with. One of those things that we got right as an organization from the scratch was onboarding volunteers, because teamwork really is important. And we were able to onboard as many volunteers as possible. And when the time came for us to have needs of volunteers, and volunteers who wanted to be on the front line, we must also add that not everybody wants to be on the front line. So we're able to get a lot of them on board, and in all we were able to reach 126,000 families in 3 months.
Right. Wow.
And it was such a blessing, that period, for people, and a lot of people trekked. We're not able to cover everywhere, but the areas we couldn't go, we tell them, just find your way to the food bank.
Right.
And we had people trekking from Ebutemeta to
Wow.
Agege.
Right.
We had people trekking from Songo
Wow.
because they felt like, I know when I get to the food bank I'll get something, rather than die at home of hunger.
So the organization was essentially, you were based in a particular location.
Of course.
And people all around Lagos come to that location to collect their food, essentially, right?
Yeah, and at the same time we also move out to communities. Those communities that we go to, at least we're able to cover. We've covered at least 17 local governments now, out of 20 local governments in Lagos, and we go with our truck, our volunteers, and we register these beneficiaries, and we do our needs assessment for every community we go to. We register them, we give them tags, and we have age range of people and all of that. So when we reach those communities, those tags and registration we've done for them that they use in accessing the food we have for them, that can last them from sometimes for 1 month, and for the period, because it's very important. The entire SDGs, I say this confidently, cannot be achieved without having good food in your belly. Really, you can practically do nothing. Like Emi said, is the gas, and it's quite important that we even bringing out the roles of food bank in helping close the food gap as one of those major key players in curbing the menace of hunger. Food banks are helping globally. We saw how food banks help states like America and other parts of the world during the lockdown, and government had to pump money into the food bank so that they can reach their community, because the systems are there.
Exactly.
But it's something that we have to look at as well, and see that food banks also play a very vital role in meeting instant needs. Instant needs are important. Without meeting those instant needs, long-term needs become difficult, right? But we downplay a bit on it here, and it took a COVID-19
to show us these things,
to show us the importance of meeting instant needs. And I really don't want to talk much of this, but really I have a lot to say.
Okay, so last week was World Food Day, right? Given that the SDGs is a decade, the timeline is essentially like a decade, 2 decades. What is Lagos Food Bank Initiative? What did you do last week for Food Day? First of all,
what I think you meant World Charity Day.
Yes, exactly. World Charity Day, rather. My bad. So what did you do last week essentially as an organization?
So it was just 2 days ago. Saturday, 5th. So and essentially for us, we just did this whole awareness because it's important. The video you played just before now, you saw likes of Anita Okoye, Pamela, and some of these influencers who are also supporting what we do. And we called on them like, see, we have to take this awareness out again, and let's see how we can reach out to more people to support the effort of non-profit organizations, rendering philanthropic support for people in the privileged communities and all of that, and let's give our voice to their efforts. And we're able to do that, do the whole campaign, because we do reach out all the time. All the time we are reaching out to communities. But that day, we decided not to do any reach out, rather to just still bring out more awareness about people who are at the forefront of this struggle, and lending their voice to how hunger and malnutrition can be curbed in our society. So that was what we did essentially, just a campaign and all of that.
All right. So given you've spoken a lot about volunteering, right? What is the state of volunteering among the youth in Nigeria today, and how are you using that to your advantage?
Great. So volunteering is key. It's it's everything for me. It's at the core of service.
Yes.
It's a way of contributing, to community development. The government alone can't do the job. Everybody needs to come on board and all of that. And we believe that volunteering is one of those pillars or one of those ways that can be achieved.
Okay.
A lot of people have been saying that the culture of volunteering is not so robust here. It's not so. I always disagree with them because we are a living testimony. That where you have a platform that is willing to engage people, you will have volunteers come on board to assist. We have very, in fact, active youths here who are willing to support. Like, if an organization, one organization, Lagos Food Bank, can register about 10,000 volunteers.
Okay. Well, on
our database, I'm saying this for a fact.
Wow.
Registered with all their emails, phone numbers, not just volunteers in the air, like we have their details. And anytime we need support, we call on them and we have their support per time. So the culture is really active here.
Right.
It just takes that engagement and that's also trust and transparency.
Right.
People want to be sure that, see, what I'm giving my time into, is it worth it? Is it for the benefit of an individual or for the benefit of the community? When people see that the platform is transparent, is credible, they do their research and say that I'm willing to give my time for this cause. So that's important. And how much do we engage the people that come on board? If a volunteer comes and they are not engaged, they are not likely to show interest next time. So that engagement is key, and that's one of the things that we also do from time to time to keep our volunteers engaged, to make sure that what they've signed up for, they are doing it, and they are doing it with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. So it's a good one. And it's, like I said, it's at the core of community development.
Right, yes.
It's what we need. It's a pathway to leadership. Service is everything.
So I'm guessing there's some form of training that they receive.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. All right. And all we just do, because there are quite a number of them, our own capacity too, we are trying to increase our capacity internally as well.
Yeah.
So what we just do is to give a guideline of like a volunteer guideline that they read up.
Yeah.
And they are informed of what to do per time and all of that. And when they come physically on site, we do a bit of briefing and all of that. And everybody fits into their roles, and they're able to carry out what we require of them per time. Okay. So it's very robust here.
Okay.
Really.
So on a final note, where is Lagos Food Bank Initiative today? And you said I know you mentioned earlier that you started in 2015. So it makes it about 5 years that you've been running.
Sure.
So where is Lagos Food Bank Initiative now, and what does the future like in terms of tackling hunger in Nigeria?
Yes, this is a journey of about 5 years, and where we are today, we are at that phase of evolving into the next phase. Okay. And this requires us to expand our facilities, have a bigger warehouse, and also have physical presence in most of the communities we serve. Right. So we are looking at a situation where we have our hubs in all the 20 local governments in Lagos. Yeah. And in future, we are looking at a situation where we're able to work with as thousands of partner agencies now who are registered under our brand to reach out to, while they maintain their identity as an organization, we are able to give them as much supplies as possible to serve their communities, and and we have that across the country. Okay. So
not just Lagos.
No, not just Lagos.
Fantastic.
So we access as much resources as possible based on the brand we've built, and then we're able to serve communities with the help of other organizations who align their goals with ours, and then we're able to reach as many people as possible. So that's what we are looking at, and and have our presence in all the 30 states in Nigeria.
That's fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us this morning, Michael.
Thank you.
There you've had it with Lagos Food Bank Initiative, discussing tackling hunger in Nigeria, SDG goal number 2.